Welcome to the Cedar Valley News Podcast, where the voices of a small town meet the headlines shaping our world from the front porches and fields of Cedar Valley. We bring you reflections, stories, and questions that matter, connecting real lives to real events for faith and community. Walk hand in hand with today's headlines. This is a Cedar Valley News, sponsored by Readers and Writers Book Club.
Greetings. I'm Chloe Papadakis, and I'll be your host for today's Quiet Echo. The Long Road Home. The 50-year mortgage trap when the house grows quiet at night. After toys find their baskets and dishes settle into the sink, thoughts have a way of lining up like visitors waiting to speak. On nights like these, the idea of a 50-year mortgage often shows up first, polite at the door, promising comfort, whispering about lower payments and the calm of finally owning a home. And at first breath, it sounds like relief. But once the whisper fades, the truth steps forward. A 50-year mortgage stretches longer than childhood, longer than the span between someone's first job and their last, longer than many of the dreams families hope to chase once the kids are grown. In Cedar Valley, where neighbors still wave as they pass and families measure time by seasons, a debt that lingers for 5 decades feels less like an opportunity and more like a shadow cast over an entire life. Let's set the numbers gently on the table. A $400,000 home, borrowed in full at 6%, becomes an anchor weighing more than $1 million by the time the last payment comes due. Monthly relief today transforms into $860,000 in interest alone money that could have raised children, repaired roofs, paid for schooling, or carried parents through the long winter of retirement. A 50-year mortgage begins with a sigh of ease and ends as a quiet financial prison. In Cedar Valley, we've watched how burdens settle on families. Young parents count dollars with the same care they use when counting toes on a newborn's feet, 1, 2, 3, hoping to give each child a safe place to grow. When their rent rises or their grocery bill leaps from one month to the next, the promise of a smaller mortgage payment feels like a lifeline. But a lifeline tied to a 50-year wait is hardly a rescue. There's another path, quieter and slower. $200 saved every month for 10 years becomes $24,000, enough to reshape a loan, shorten its lifespan, and reduce a mountain of interest into something manageable. When a family buys with savings, they step into ownership with room to breathe. Their loan ends while their children still live at home. Their equity grows early, and their peace grows with it. Saving takes patience. It asks families to lean into discipline and trust that small choices today become big freedoms tomorrow. But that kind of patience changes futures. It protects families from decades of interest payments, from a life where the house feels owned in name, but never in spirit. Here in Cedar Valley, we know the difference between being housed and being home. A home should hold memories, not debts that outlive dreams. A shorter mortgage builds something solid beneath a family's feet. A 50-year mortgage keeps them walking a road with no place to rest. When my daughter rests her head on my shoulder at the end of a long day, I think about the story she'll inherit. I want her to grow up believing a home is a shelter, not a sentence. I want her to learn that waiting, saving, and choosing carefully can lead to a life with more freedom than fear. A home gained with patience is a home that stands firm. Families deserve that. Cedar Valley deserves that. And maybe, in a world where quick fixes crowd the headlines, a little wisdom from the long road can help us find our way back to choices that hold hope instead of chains. Thanks for listening from Desk 12B. Stay warm out there, Cedar Valley.
You've been listening to the Cedar Valley News Podcast, where small-town voices meet the headlines shaping our world. From faith and family to front porches and fields. We'll be back with more stories connecting real lives to real events. Until next time, keep your porch light on, your faith strong, and your heart open. This is Cedar Valley News, sponsored by Readers and Writers Book Club.